Okay, this lesson is lesson 4 on two-way frequency tables. So we've studied a little bit of statistics already. We've created scatter plots and lines of best fit, determined the relationships between the data, how strong they were or weak. Now we're looking at a different representation of statistics, two-way tables. Okay, so our investigation. High school students in the United States were invited to complete an online survey in 2020. Part of the survey included questions about superhero powers. More than 1,000 students responded to the survey that included a question about the student's favorite superhero power. 450 of the completed surveys were randomly selected. Okay, so our total here is we're using 450 of those surveys. And here's a breakdown by gender of the 450 surveys. So 100 students indicated their favorite power was to fly. 49 of those students were females. 131 students selected the superpower freezing time as their favorite power, and 71 of those students were males. 75 students, here I'm going to highlight all of our totals here. So 100 students total picked to fly, and then 49 of them were females. 131 students total picked freezing time, 71 were males. 75 total students selected invisibility, and 48 of those students were females. 26 total students picked super strength, and 25 of them were males. Interesting. And finally, 118 students indicated telepathy, I can't even say it, as their favorite power. 70 of those students were females. Okay, so first off, we want to know, why would this survey include gender? Why didn't they just ask you what your favorite superpower was? So maybe the whole point of this survey was to see if there's a relationship between gender and your favorite superhero power. Right? Statistics is all about relationships. So to see if there is a relationship between gender and your favorite superhero power. Okay, now we're going to put this data into a two-way table by determining a frequency count for each cell based on the summarized data. So here's our table. We have females and males, and then we have all of the different superpowers that were listed. So let's see, to fly. 100 students indicated their favorite power was to fly, and 49 of them were females. So for the superpower of flying, there was 100 students total that picked that, and if 49 of them were females, we can put that there. 131 students picked freezing time, and of those 131, 71 were males. 75 students chose invisibility, and of that, 48 of them were females. 26 students indicated super strength, 25 of them were males. So start thinking about how many females that means there were. And lastly, 118 did telepathy. 70 females from that 118. Okay, so now we want to look at what the missing pieces are. So I'm going to use a different color here. I'm going to start with super strength because I think that's the easiest. If there were 26 total students who picked super strength, and if 25 of them were male, that means that only one of them must have been a female. 1 plus 25 is 26. Telepathy, can't say it, 70 were females, so how many males? So it's like thinking 70 plus what equals 118. So you can do 118 minus 70 to figure that out. And we will just use a calculator for these. 118 minus 70 is going to give you 48. Okay, let's do the same thing here. 75 minus 48 will give you 27. You could check it. 48 plus 27 gives you that 75 total students that picked invisibility. Okay, 71 males picked freezing time. So 131 minus 71 will show us that 60 females picked freezing time. 60 females plus 71 males is the 131 total students that picked freezing time. And then flying, well, 49 plus 51 gives us 100. So that is how we get our 100 total students who picked flying. Okay, now our other totals. How many total females were surveyed? That's what we're going to put here. So if you look carefully, this whole row is female. So if we add all of those numbers up, we will get our total female. So 49 plus 60 plus 48 plus 1 plus 70 gives you 228 total females that were surveyed. And now to figure out our total number of males surveyed, 51, 71, 27, 25, and 48. These are all of our male votes. So if you add those together, you're going to get 222. And when you add together these totals, we should get 450 because that's how many students it said were surveyed total. And sure enough, 228 plus 222 is 450. And also, if you add together all of the totals for the different categories of superheroes powers, you should get 450 also. Okay, answer the following based on the two-way tables provided. Another random sample of 100 surveys was selected from the superhero power survey. Lauren had a copy of the two-way table that summarized these 100 surveys. Unfortunately, she spilled part of her lunch on the copy. The following summaries were still readable. Okay, so we can see some of them, but we're missing C. We're missing E, J, and Q. Okay, so let's figure it out. Well, if our total here is 25, what plus 10 is going to give you 25? Well, 15 plus 10 is going to give us 25. Okay, and to figure out this one here, 5 plus what is going to give you 9? 5 plus 4 will give you 9. 9 is the total, right? These are our totals. This one, telepathy, has two unknowns, so we're going to have to get a little more creative. Well, we can figure out E because we know that this entire row has to equal a total of 55. So I can add together 12 plus 15, which is 27, 27 plus 15, which is 42, 42 plus 5 is 47, 47 plus what is going to give me 55, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 8. Now that I know this is 8 and this is 3, this must be 11 because it's the total. 8 plus 3 is 11, our total for telepathy. Okay, so now that we figured out those, let's move on to B. A survey was conducted on a randomly selected number of grade 7 and grade 8 students at Woodland Middle School, asking the question, do you prefer snowboarding or skateboarding? The results are shown below. How many students were involved in this survey? Okay, so let's see. How many students total were involved in the survey? We're going to get that from our grand total number over here, our total. This is the total who did snowboarding. This is the total who did skateboarding. This is the total in 7th grade. This is the total in 8th grade. This is the total. So 500 students. How many grade 8 students were involved in the survey? Okay, so let's go to grade 8. What I'm highlighting in yellow is all of our grade 8. So we had 140 grade 8 that picked snowboarding, 120 grade 8 that picked skateboarding, giving us a total of 260 students in grade 8. How many students, oh my gosh, I have so many highlighters out. So how many students, grade 7 students chose skateboarding? So let's go to grade 7. And let's see which grade 7 is skateboarding. Grade 7 has to line up with skateboarding. So I highlighted in green my grade 7. And now I'm going to highlight in pink my skateboarding. And see where green meets pink, which is right here. 110 did skateboarding and grade 7. How many grade 8 students chose snowboarding? So I'm running out of highlighter colors. So we'll just do this one like this. Grade 8 and snowboarding. This is all the snowboarding ones. So grade 8 meets snowboarding right here, 140. How many students chose snowboarding? Well, all of these chose snowboarding, the 7th graders and the 8th graders. It doesn't ask which grade, so we're going to use the total amount of kids who did snowboarding, which was 270. Okay, for C. Note, not all two-way tables supply you with the total rows and columns. You can always find these total values by adding the rows and columns yourselves. Okay, so a survey was conducted on a randomly selected number of grade 7 and grade 8 students, asking the question, do you normally sleep 8 or more hours or less than 8 hours? The results are shown below. Okay, so here's our 7th graders who did 8 or more hours, 7th graders that did less than 8 hours, 8th graders 8 or more, 8th graders less than 8. How many grade 8 students were less than 8 hours? So I need my grade 8 students. And now I want to find the one that is less than 8 hours. Less than 8 hours right here in 8th grade. How many grade 8 students were involved in this survey? Well, I have these students that were involved in the survey and these. So if we want to find our total, we're going to have to add another column here. So what's 48 plus 82? That gives you 130. 130 total 8th graders. I can even add that yellow because it's still 8th graders. In our row of 8th graders, 130 8th grade students were in the survey. And how many students total were involved in the survey? So this is where you can add a total to the side to figure out how many students. So let's see, how many 7th graders total were surveyed? Well, 58 plus 73 is 31. So now if I want to figure out how many total students were surveyed, I have my green 7th graders here, and I have my yellow 8th graders. I need to add together those two totals to figure out how many total students were surveyed, and that would be 261. You could also fill out how many total students picked 8 hours or more and less than 8 hours, but we don't really need that for this one. But if you want it, I'll just fill it in. 106 and 155. And then when you add together the number of students who have 8 hours or more and the number of students who have less than 8 hours, it adds up to 261. All right, and that is it.